Hello and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Joe, where you ask your most burning UX questions and I do my best to answer them. Today's question comes from Tina, who says, I've been a UX designer for 2 years now and I've outgrown the position I'm in currently. I'm looking for a new job. I am working on my portfolio, but all the job descriptions I see contain descriptions and titles and requirements that are far beyond anything I've experienced. It seems like they want me to be a combination of designer, developer, programmer, artist, etc. How can I possibly design my portfolio and rework my resume to speak to all these different things? I'm very frustrated. I'm feeling like maybe I should just switch careers entirely. I don't know what to do. Any advice would be appreciated. Thank you. Wow. Okay. First of all, I get it. Okay, I really get it. And what's funny is that right now there are a lot of discussions that are happening online in all my social media channels, as well as my private Facebook group, which is at friendsgivegoodux.com, by the way. There's a lot of discussion around that right now for whatever reason. It's like this weird convergence. But like the rest of you, I've seen all these sort of goofy job postings, right? You have UX developer or UX designer developer, or, and you read the descriptions and it turns out what they really want is a UI designer, or what they really want is someone who does front-end development work and has familiarity with mid-tier logic and all this kind of stuff that we don't typically associate with UX. So you read these things, and were I in your shoes, I get it, right? You read it and you go, okay, how am I possibly going to have all these skills? Reality is this, okay? First of all, what a lot of these organizations are looking for is usually 1, 2, or 3 positions wrapped up into one, okay? It's really not realistic in my experience, and that's, 26 years at this point. It's really not realistic to expect one person to have all those skills. And they're not going to find it, okay? They'll find someone who maybe has 50, 60% of what's on that list, and eventually they'll settle for something they think is close. That's the first part, okay? So realize that that ask isn't really legitimate and it's not accurate, and they won't get it. The second thing I want you to realize is that the ask doesn't really matter, okay? It doesn't impact your chances of getting that job the way you think it does. And I'm gonna do my best to explain. Like, for instance, you're saying, how do I change my portfolio? How do I adjust my resume? How do I speak to all this? The answer is you don't, okay? You don't. You can't. It's a wasted exercise, it's wasted effort, and it's not gonna help you. This is why I say that, okay? When you create a portfolio, all right, there are lots of things that they typically speak to when you see them. For instance, when I look at portfolios, I usually see, okay, one of 3 things being communicated. I can create aesthetically pleasing user interfaces. That's the first one. The second is, here's the software I know how to use and here's what I know how to do with it, okay? The third thing is, I do a little bit of a lot of different things, but what I do is I provide these outcomes for users, for clients, okay? That's the third thing. And that third thing is what is most infinitely valuable to any recruiter, any hiring manager, any employer, any potential client. Your ability to move the needle. It's not about the work itself. It's not about whether you know these languages, coding languages, or whether you can design beautiful interfaces, or whether you know the latest software platforms, or what your methodologies are. It's about, can you provide value? Can you do something for me that I can't do myself? Can you do something for my business that I currently can't do myself? That is really, at the end of the day, the question that's being asked, okay? So forget about trying to work and speak to all these different aspects of what you think people want from you. It's the wrong game, okay? You're chasing the wrong thing. Instead, work harder to fully explain in your resume, in your portfolio, in every single outward expression of what you do, social media posts, okay? If you have a website, if you do blog posts, if you do podcasts, whatever it is, speak to the end result, the value, All right. And for businesses, look, you've heard this from me before. For businesses, that's money made or money saved. All right. Telling those stories in a different way, in a way that the people on the receiving end need to hear them, is what you need to be doing. All right. I will admit that that can be a taller order than what it sounds like. Okay. It's not always that simple. So to speak to that, by the way, I also am running a UX portfolio workshop pretty soon, this August. First session is on August 22nd. We're doing 3 different sessions to show you how to do all this, okay? To show you how to stop chasing these unrealistic expectations, to stop putting yourself out there in a way that's communicating the wrong thing to the wrong people, okay? Trying to say you have this amalgamation of skills, it's not going to work, okay? It's not going to work. It's never worked. I'm helping a client right now staff up, and I've looked at, I think over like 230 some portfolios at this point, and it doesn't work, okay? Because the evidence that I need to see, the evidence that they need to see, isn't there, and that drives me crazy, okay? You all are getting some very bad advice from somewhere. So that's the reason I decided to do this workshop. It's going to be quick. It's it's about 90 minutes plus. I'm going to walk you through all the things that you should not be doing in your portfolio and your resume. I'm going to show you the things you should be doing. I'm going to explain why, and then we're going to look at actual portfolios from people who are attending the workshop. We're going to do live critiques, and we're going to go through the what and why. Okay, here's why this isn't working. Here's what you should do differently. Here's how you should change this. All right, because I think, again, given the volume of what I see, I just think there's a tremendous amount of bad advice out there. So I invite you to check that out via the URL that's on your screen right now. And I also want you to know that we'll be recording those sessions. So even if you can't join us live, you will have lifetime access to the videos of the event if you enroll. And furthermore, if you do so in the next several days, by August 11th to be precise, you will save 20% on the enrollment fee, which means you get in for about $69 and change, which to me, it's the cost of a dinner, a few drinks. Pretty reasonable if you ask me, for something that's going to change your career. So check that out at the URL on your screen, and I certainly hope you can join us. Before I let you go, I want to say one more time in response to the question at hand here, okay? Forget about these ridiculous combinations of job descriptions. Forget about the laundry list of skills that seems completely unreasonable, because it is, okay? Focus your efforts instead on telling the story of how what you do creates value for people, and therefore to businesses, to organizations, to the people that create these things, okay? Keep that in mind, and until next time, I certainly hope that whatever you are doing, you are giving good UX.